without prompt action by Congress, there is a reasonable probability that the OSP program, the scholarship program, will not just be limited to the number of students who are in it now. And in fact, there haven't been any new students admitted in the last 2 years, but it will be doomed. As I explained here on the floor of the Senate yesterday, the current administrator has advised Secretary Duncan that it will no longer, the administrator being a corporation, an entity, that it will no longer administer the program without a reauthorization. No other entity has yet expressed a willingness to take over, given the constraints imposed by Congress. So despite President Obama's intent stated in the state of his budget message to continue this program, admittedly only for those 1,300 plus students currently participating in it, it appears that even that will become impossible, and I think that would be a really tragic result, because this program has given a lifeline for students in failing schools in the District of Columbia, a scholarship to go to private or faith-based schools where, by all accounts, they are receiving a much better education and being given the talent they can make something much greater of their lives. Mr. President, we first offered our amendment to the American Workers, State and Business. Of course, earlier today I was proud to support that measure. Good for our economy, good for people hurting in our economy, good for businesses hurting in our economy. Unfortunately, we were not able to get a vote on this amendment on that bill. And so, as promised, we are here today again, another attempt to get a vote in the Senate on this issue, because it is time sensitive. It is urgent. The life of this program hangs in the balance, and so in a very real way does the future of these 1,300 plus children in the district who are benefiting from the program. The truth is that the FAA reauthorization bill has been referred to as a jobs initiative, and I believe it is. And what's more important to getting a good job than getting a good education? And that's what this bill is all about. Achievement gaps in our schools, including our schools here in the District of Columbia, have a profound impact on the quality of our workforce and on the future of our economy, and in a classically, characteristically American sense, focusing on the individual children who, by twists of fate, have ended up in schools that are not adequately preparing them. I'll have more to say about this, but these are schools that I'm not just personally judging to be failing schools, but under characteristics, standards created by the federal government under the No Child Left Behind Act, are designated as failing schools. The OSP program provides these students, low-income students in the district, with a chance at a better education. And, Mr. President, dollar for dollar, this program accomplishes this goal at a very, very low cost. Personally, how did I get involved in this? Well, of course, like all of us, I have an interest in education. I have an interest in overcoming the achievement gaps in American schools that are so often, well, not just so often, but so profoundly related to income and to race. More particularly, I've followed the status of this program, this Opportunity Scholarship Program, in the District of Columbia for several years in my capacity as a ranking member and now chair of the Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, because of the committee's traditional jurisdiction in its governmental affairs aspects over and regarding the District of Columbia, our nation's capital. Last year, our committee held a hearing on this Opportunity Scholarship Program and heard testimony from students in the program and their parents, it was evident from their testimony that this program has served as the word I used before, a lifeline to many students who otherwise would have been assigned to schools in which they would not have received a good education as designated by No Child Left Behind. One parent whose annual income is only $12,200 testified that she had sought an opportunity scholarship, a voucher, some call it, for her 8-year-old son after her 17-year-old was shot and killed at the school, at Ballou High School. Her son, since, has really thrived in the Opportunity Scholarship Program, loves his school and his teachers, is part of the debate club, and now wants to be a doctor. His hopes have been fortified and elevated, and his achievement has been remarkably improved. This mother believes, as she told our committee, that none of this would have happened had her son been forced to stay in the school he was in the D.C. public school system. Another young man, Ronald Holassie, started in the Opportunity Scholarship Program in 6th grade. He told our committee, he's now a high school student, he told our committee that the D.C. Opportunity Scholarship Program, and I quote, has changed my life, end quote. And then he said, and I quote again, no one should take away my future and my dreams of becoming a successful young man. No one should take that away from me and the other 1,700 children in this program, end of quote. Now, because of the failure of Congress to support the program over the last couple of years, or filled the spots open by graduation down to 1,300 children. Ronald Holassie became the deputy youth mayor for legislative affairs of the District of Columbia, and he is now applying to college. What he said was right. This program provides a quality education to economically disadvantaged students at half the per pupil cost, of educating public schools. Mr. President, our committee also heard from Tiffany Dunstan. She told us another student, quote, receiving a scholarship was a blessing for my family and put me on the path to success. I grew up in a neighborhood with a lot of poverty and crime, and there were such low expectations for kids in my neighborhood schools. I would watch kids hanging out on the streets and not going to school. My motivation to get the best education possible was my cousin James, who was shot and killed at 17. I'm always thinking of what he could have done. With the help of the scholarship, my dream has been realized, end of quote. Well, those are very moving testimonies, personal anecdotes, affirmations of the worth of the program.